Right. So, the Suwen, this is like a metaphor that the Suwen gives in order for us to be able to imagine it, in order for us to get into the appropriate, precise state. So, if we look at that instruction, right, far away, that means that you must imagine, right, if you want to do this, you must imagine a beloved at a long distance. Okay, so that functions as kind of a spatial anchor. Yeah. Then you have this process of flowing outwards towards the other, right? This is the directional release. So when you're imagining it, you're not trying to imagine the effect on the other. You're focusing on your own flowing, right? What's happening to your beloved out there, like as though you love something far away, is not the important part of this visualization. The important part is just feeling this outward flow because we're talking about chi release. Yeah. Okay. And then what we want to do, so what we're focusing on, if we're not focusing on the other and we're focusing on this chi release, is we're focusing on the somatic texture of love that's arising in your body, right? So what does it feel like for love to arise in your body and then flow outwards? Yeah. What's happening to the other person doesn't matter, but the important thing is that they're far away. you know so it's not just a small outward flow, it's a far away flow. So you're really sending. Okay, that's the attunement to summer, right? So what you get here is a self-generated, directed, spatially anchored, felt sense of external flow. Okay, so if you can imagine this really well, right, and precisely, right, it generates a real somatic experience in your body, like you feel something. It's not just in your head. Your body is going to respond. Okay, so of course that was not enough for me just to have the imagination. So I started thinking about this in the way that athletes, right? They train athletes. So when they train athletes, like you guys are probably familiar with these studies where they had athletes, for example, imagine making baskets, right? And then they measure the body, and it turns out that when they measure different aspects, right, of how the body responded to these visualizations, it responded in the same way as though they had actually been doing the exercise, right? And then, of course, they're in this training, the athletes actually improved, right, their outcomes. So the imagination can be very powerful. And the Suwen is giving us instructions for how to imagine very precisely. Let me see if I can. All right. So this here is my, hold on, let me just move this here so I can see it well. Here we are. Okay. So this is theoretical. This is a neural loop that I'm proposing. So I was going through the different parts of the brain and trying to understand like how this could possibly work. So if you take that little instruction from the Suwen and you break it down into bits, right, you have all of these different brain parts involved, right? And I got a lot of this from those studies that they did with the athletes. So basically, you plan to direct the energy, right, and you have the pre-SMA involved in that, right? Plans of release, direction of energy. Just don't worry about this too much. I'm just going to fly through this but there's a piece that I do want you to focus on. So you have to have motivation to love something that's not there, right? That's the VT to the striatum. It's an approach motivation. You guys can look these up. This is for your reference for later in case anybody's interested in going into the neurology of this. Then visualizing somebody that you love, right? That's the dorsal frontal parietal network. So this is like the brain simulator, right? So it's what allows us to run these mental models without moving the body. And then when you use visual spatial imagery, that recruits the lateral occipital cortex. One part for motion and the fusiform gyrus for content. So because we're imagining this thing that because we have this visual spatial imagery, right? So there's a direction to it, there's a distance to it, so something is leaving us, right? So we have it's not only in place, right? We recruit these parts here. So we also have a part of the brain here that can distinguish between motor and visual imagery. And so you kind of just want to make sure that when you're visualizing, you're feeling this and not just seeing it. Right? So that's really important. Um, and then this part of the brain, I think, is absolutely fascinating. But um, I think another part of this that's really important is that we have this vector. The reason that the Suwen gives us the instruction to imagine something far away is because it changes like the shape of our self. Like all of a sudden, our self is not confined to the boundaries of our body, but it is expanding. Right? It is going far away. It is moving at a great distance from us. Now we include in our sense of self what is confined by our boundary, by our skin, by our normal sense of self, and something far away. So now we are way bigger than we normally are. And this is the part of the brain that kind of allows us to do that. Then we're told that we should imagine somebody we love, right? So we're invoking love, and so that invokes, for example, if you do this well, if you can really muster up the sense of love, now you're calling in the physiology of oxytocin, right? And oxytocin does so many things, including, for example, thermal regulation, right? So your heat is partly controlled by oxytocin, as well as pair bonding, right, maternal behavior, and so on. After that, so this oxytocin that is made in the hypothalamus and the PDN and the SON, another part of the brain, also in the hypothalamus. Anyway, this oxytocin is made theoretically, and then it moves to a part of the brain called the periaqueductal gray. Um, we're going to go through that in a second. And here you have opioids, right? Receptors and oxytocin receptors. You have production of opioids. And this part is activated in romantic and maternal love studies, right? So this is central to attachment circuitry. Um, and interestingly, it also does vasodilation in the skin. Yeah. So now your skin is getting blood. Yeah, you have oxytocin, your skin is getting blood. You've got these opioids being produced. You have these love hormones being produced. Yeah. Um, then let's see the next part of the brain. So what this all causes in the body is like a vasodilation, cardiac softening, respiratory changes, and it generates warmth. So by imagining this state, what you're doing is you're creating like a state in which your body is big, you feel your body big, yeah? You're making oxytocin. Oxytocin is regulating your temperature, yeah, in a way. The blood vessels, it also regulates your blood vessels. The blood vessels are dilating, right? It's easier to pump blood out of the heart, right? And your respiration changes. You see, so everything's like coming out to the surface, yeah, just through this simple visualization. Okay. Right. Then the anterior insula. This is what gives you that embodied awareness, right? So you say, oh, it's what allows you to be self-reflexive about it and say, oh, I feel that, you know? So if anybody has difficulty at any part of this, you can kind of narrow it down to the brain area that needs a little bit of support.